If it feels like airfares are expensive right now, that's because they are. While airfares are down from the record highs that we saw in May 2022, they are still really high. Ongoing staffing shortages, surging travel demand, all are at play. But that doesn't mean that you can't save money on airfare. Let me give you 7 tricks to save money on airfare this year. My first trick is to use frequent flyer miles. You earn frequent flyer miles most commonly by spending money on airlines. Frequent flyer miles can be attained by simply signing up for that airline's loyalty program, which is usually free to join. You simply just hand over your name and email address, and you connect your accounts, and you start earning miles for the flights that you're taking. But flights aren't the only ways to earn frequent flyer miles. If you're not someone who's traveling every week, in fact, this can be a really slow method of earning frequent flyer miles. But luckily, you can speed up the process through your everyday life. Many airline frequent flyer programs partner with dining programs. You link your account, and whenever you go out to eat, you can earn miles through your spending. Another great way to earn miles is through online shopping. Many airlines have online shopping portals that then connect to other major retailers. I'm talking about Macy's, Shop Disney, Nordstrom. Whenever you spend money there, you can earn frequent flyer miles. To do this, before going to, say, shopdisney.com to buy a new pair of Mickey Mouse ears, you'll actually go to the airline shopping portal. So that would be something like the Delta SkyMiles shopping portal. From there, you'll navigate into the Shop Disney website, and then that sort of allows the account to know you came from Delta, and you'll actually earn Delta miles for buying those Mickey Mouse ears. It's pretty common to earn 1 to 2 miles per dollar spent on your online shopping, but sometimes you'll find that there are bonuses. For example, at the time I'm recording this video, Delta has a special deal going with CVS where you'll earn 10 miles per dollar spent on CVS's website. This can be an excellent way to earn miles quickly, and I also don't want you to overlook other partnerships that airlines have with other big companies that you might be spending money with. Going back to that Delta example, Delta has partnerships with Lyft and with Starbucks. You can earn reciprocal rewards. So when you buy a latte at Starbucks, you can earn Delta miles and vice versa. My number 2 trick is to transfer credit card points. Now, I mentioned accruing miles in frequent flyer programs, and credit card spending is one of the best ways to accrue miles. So there's 2 ways that you can do this. You can have an airline branded credit card. With this, you'll earn miles for your everyday spending. So you just spend money at the grocery store as you normally would, and you can earn airline miles for that spending. The problem with this is many people don't want to hold an airline credit card, as now you're tied to flying with that airline and you don't have flexibility of flying with others. For that reason, I often recommend that people go for a more general travel rewards card. This is something like Chase's travel credit cards, like the Chase Sapphire Reserve. American Express has travel credit cards as well. Again, you spend money on these cards and you earn general travel points, which you can then transfer to certain airline frequent flyer programs. Not every bank partners with every airline, so you can visit NerdWallet.com to find out who the transfer partners are with your bank. But I'll give you a little preview. Chase Ultimate Rewards is one of the biggest travel programs out there, and among their airline transfer partners includes British Airways, United, and Southwest. This is one of the fastest ways to get a bunch of rewards in one go. Number 3 is signing up for flight alerts and email deal newsletters. This is for the folks out there who want to pay cash for your flights. There are tons of great newsletters out there. I'm not going to name all of them, but one of the ones that I really like is, it's now called Going, formerly known as Scott's Cheap Flights. You can input your airport and they'll send you deals of great airfares going out of that city or out of that region. Another great program to subscribe to is Google Flights. This one is great because you can get really specific and it'll track flight prices over time. So you can say, I want to go from San Francisco to St. Louis, and Google Flights will continuously monitor, and if they see that flight prices are below average, they'll send you an email alert. This can be an excellent way to find the best deals. And finally, I recommend just subscribing to the airlines that you like to. They'll send out deal alerts. So I live in San Francisco, which is served by many big airlines like United, Alaska, Southwest. I subscribe to all of their emails because who knows, I might get a $99 deal alert to Hawaii and I'm booking that. My next tip is to book basic economy airfares. Basic economy is exactly what it sounds like. It's your economy airfare, but even more basic. It's a cheaper airfare and you sacrifice a lot more of the frills that you even don't get in economy. Rules vary by airline, but some airlines don't even let basic economy passengers bring a roller suitcase for the overhead bin. If you're packing light and you only have a backpack for the underseat though, this can work for you. There are often also a bunch of other limitations with basic economy. Typically, you're the last person to board, you don't get to choose your seat. This all means that you're very likely going to end up in the middle seat. If you demand the aisle or the window, basic economy is probably not the airfare for you. But if you love a deal, it certainly can be. NerdWallet conducted an analysis of basic economy airfares for all the major airlines and found that basic economy tickets tend to be, per one-way seat, $50 to $60 cheaper than a standard economy ticket. Number 5, be flexible with your travel dates. I'm talking flexibility both on the micro and the macro level. On the micro level, I'm talking about specific days of the week to fly. Now, I always get people who ask me, what's the cheapest day of the week to fly? And there are some answers, but the reality is it varies by location. Consider a place like Las Vegas. This is a city where people are going to party for the weekends. Most people are flying in on Friday and flying home on Sunday. Because of that, you're gonna find the airfare prices are higher on those days to reflect that. If you can afford to travel outside of those dates, you might save money. Then you want to go span out to that macro level and look at the seasonality. Again, a place like Vegas, this is a pool party city. It's super busy during spring break. Not a lot of pool parties are happening in winter. If you just want to see the Strip and you don't really care what the weather's like, you can find that you can save a lot of money by flying to Las Vegas in the winter. But that's not always true. Sometimes there are special events that happen in the winter. For example, going back to Vegas, they have the annual CES Tech Conference. This is one of the biggest tech conferences in the world. It happens every year in January. Because of this, it's one of the most expensive times to fly to Vegas. So while Vegas is generally cheaper in the winter, you might find this one specific week to actually be one of the most expensive. Do your research, do your homework, and be flexible about your travel dates to save the most money. Number 6, I mentioned being flexible about dates, but also be flexible about airports. You'll find that many cities are actually served by multiple airports. In fact, many cities are actually served by multiple international airports. New York, San Francisco, to name a few. I like to use tools like Google Flights, which allow me to search the same flight date across multiple airports at the same time. So I live in San Francisco, I can enter flights for San Francisco, tap the plus sign on Google Flights, also add Oakland Airport, and it'll display flights out of that airport as well, which really cuts down on the search time. What's also really convenient is that if you know you're going to a major tourist destination, like say Disneyland, you can actually just enter Disneyland in Google Flights, and Google is smart enough to know what all the nearby airports are. In that case, a lot of people think when they're going to Disneyland, they should fly into Los Angeles Airport, but the reality is Long Beach or Santa Ana Airport are a lot closer. And so typically I recommend that you just fly into there as well. When it comes to international flights, you'll also find massive price differences depending on the airport you're flying out of. So say, for example, you need to get to Taiwan and you're coming from Tucson. This can be an expensive flight because there typically are not nonstop routes there. You're going to go from Tucson to a city like San Francisco or Los Angeles and then continuing on to Taiwan. Because of this, you might find that the airfare is expensive to account for those two flights. What I encourage someone who's really budget conscious to try is to look at booking two separate flights. One flight from Tucson to San Francisco, and then that second flight on from San Francisco to Taiwan. This is going to open so many more options of flights that you can take. It's also going to enable you to take maybe a budget flight from Tucson on a flight like Frontier or Spirit onwards to San Francisco before catching that international long-haul flight. Now, this can be a great tactic to save money, but I'm gonna give you one huge caveat, and that is the risk involved. If your first flight is delayed or canceled and you miss your second flight and they're on two separate itineraries, that second flight is not gonna do a whole lot to help you. The way if you had booked the same itinerary and your first flight went wrong, that airline is gonna help you get rebooked at typically no cost so you can get on your second flight. The way if Spirit decides to cancel your flight and you're stranded in Tucson and your second flight's taking off from San Francisco, you are sort of on your own. My seventh and final tip is not just saving money on flights, but saving money on all the other factors that go into your flights. I'm talking things like checked bag fees or fees to choose your seats. Now, one of the best ways to avoid all these extra fees is by holding airline elite status. Elite status benefits can vary by airline and the level of status that you have, but typically they mean so much cost savings. Often if you have elite status, you're the person who gets to board first. You're the person who gets to check bags for free, sometimes not just for you, but for your friends as well. Now, I realize earning elite status, the traditional route of just flying a lot, can be really hard. Unless you're someone who's flying every week for work, it's often not realistic that you're actually going to earn elite status the traditional route. That's where those airline credit cards that I mentioned earlier come into play. Not only are airline credit cards great for earning bonus points on your spending, but typically they either offer automatic elite status as a benefit, or they offer elite status like perks as a benefit for holding the card. So it might be common to see an airline credit card that simply by holding it, you get free upgraded boarding certificates or free Wi-Fi. Take advantage of these credit cards to not just earn those extra points, but get those other money-saving aspects as well. When it comes to saving money on airfare, often flexibility is the key. If you can be flexible about where you go or when you go, you can save a bunch of money. But the reality is sometimes you're not flexible. You have to go to a certain event at a certain time. In that case, I find that frequent flyer miles and credit card points can be king. I'm Sally French, a travel writer at NerdWallet, and here's a fun fact. I am 4'10", which means I have no problem with the middle seat and also no problem saving money on those basic economy airfares. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe.